Stories Philippines podcast.
There are nights in Manila when the neon burns too bright and the air tastes thick with secrets. Imagine a small, crowded club on a September night in 2005, just past 11, when the city's heartbeat slows and something else moves beneath the music. What is it that draws hundreds of teenagers and 20-somethings to choke on cigarette smoke and let heartbreak shimmer over their heads like a low-hanging haze? Maybe it was Hale's The Day You Said Goodnight, echoing through deafening speakers, or Sponge Cola's anthem for young lovers lost in confusion. Or maybe something darker, a song that nobody admits to knowing, a piece never recorded, barely whispered about outside these venues. Do you ever wonder how a melody could twist memories into nightmares? Or why certain lyrics seem to haunt you years after the last encore faded? A shadow falls on this episode, weaving through stories of smoke-filled gig venues, the boom of OPM Emo, and restless souls who linger long after the band packs up and the crowd staggers home. If you have ever felt a chill crawl down your spine during a song, or sensed a presence standing just behind you, listening, then this is your episode. A heavy warning before we begin. Tonight's journey explores hidden corners of obsession, despair, and supernatural phenomena. Some scenes may linger deep in the mind, unsettling long after dawn. You are encouraged to listen with caution, especially if these themes reach into your own darkness. I am Jessica, and you are listening to Stories Philippines Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10. In September of 2005, OPM's alternative rock and emo movement reached its blazing peak. It wasn't gentle, it was cathartic, a roar against heartbreak and the weight of dreams. Bands like Hale, Sponge Cola, Sugarfree, Chicosci, and Parokya ni Edgar tore through the archipelago, forging a code that said it was okay to hurt, as long as you sang about it loud enough. Manila's gig venues became churches for this feeling, a faith of pain, loss, and fleeting hope. You could find it in the old bars of Makati, or out amidst BGC's growing towers. Many places had checkered pasts, a warehouse converted after a fire, staircases that creaked in the middle of the night, blackouts before the main act, and rumors of rooms nobody entered alone. There, the bass shuddered through your bones, and every chorus was a confession. But what happens when the line between performance and possession blurs? Bands chased fame, sometimes too hard. Stories began to circulate. Musicians who played the same set night after night until their minds frayed. Legends spread of a certain song lost in OPM archives that drove listeners to the edge. One version claimed the band who first played it vanished after that show, their names erased, their story told only in whispers by roadies and the bartenders who refused to close up alone. Some said performing this cursed song granted fame at the cost of sanity. Others believed even humming it out loud invited bad luck, or worse. Globally, these tales echoed other legends. There's the old myth of a blues guitarist trading his soul for talent at a midnight crossroads. Even Western pop culture speaks of chilling tunes like My Way, which gained notoriety in Filipino karaoke circles for leading to violence and untimely death when sung after midnight. The global connection is clear. Music has always been a vehicle for something beyond the notes. It's a conduit for deep emotion and sometimes for something darker still. An energy that sticks to the performance space like old paint. In Manila, the shadows pooled in venues still smeared with smoke and sweat. The urban legend of Ole Ole, a song rumored across TikTok and blogs to be cursed, became a caution said with laughter that always felt too nervous. Local venues hosted emo nights, complete with shrines built of broken drumsticks and water-stained amp covers. But not all of the musicians got out whole. Some acts vanished, contracts ended abruptly, and their last known gigs blurred into myth, just like the cursed song's refrain that nobody could remember, yet everyone swore they'd heard once. Through it all, ordinary fans became witnesses. Listener submission threads across Spookify and the gig circuit brought new warnings. Stories from Joyce, who as a teen saw a crying child in the corner during a loud show, her sadness overwhelming love of the music, a presence that lingered. Ross, who caught chills in a province venue reading OPM lyrics, struck by visions beyond fever dreams and unable to sleep again without the lights on. Ian, who found a tall, white-dressed woman reflected in the bar's window, her face lost to shadow, until he and his brother heard a whisper begging for help, drowned out only by the feedback from the mics. Shane remembers a strange, collective dread at a school music festival, where every friend shared a sense of something wrong behind the main curtains, a memory sharper than any grade or lesson. Glyza recalled a white lady seen near a tree by her gig venue early one morning, her walk blurring the line between night terrors and sunlit reality. Places then hold the energy of what happens inside them. People often point out that venues built on tragedy, like Ozone Disco, remembered for its fire and the many lost, become magnets for darkness, even decades later. The geography matters. Some believe old power lines and buried stones twist unseen energy. Others just feel a chill when passing through a backstage hallway after midnight. The very foundation of these buildings, often erected quickly or converted from older structures, seems to carry the imprints of their past life, be it an old colonial building or a site of forgotten strife. The folklore of the Philippines is rich with spirits who are tied to a specific location, a place of their end or a space where they felt deep pain. The idea that a song, an intense sonic event, could anchor such a spirit is not a far stretch from the belief in the capre attached to a specific old balete tree, or the weeping white lady tethered to the highway where she met her fate. The club, full of raw emotion, simply provides the perfect atmosphere for this anchoring to occur. It's a spiritual parallel to a lightning rod, drawing down the strange energy that swirls above the city. One night, around 2007, a rising band called Solitary Echo played a venue in Quezon City. The air conditioning was notoriously weak. The walls were covered in faded band stickers from the 1990s. The story goes that their lead singer, a young man named Hale, was intensely ambitious, almost to a fault. He was obsessed with leaving a mark, a sound that would outlive him. On the third night of a 3-day stretch, in the late hours after midnight, the house lights flickered and died. The venue plunged into an absolute, breathless darkness. When the backup lights finally kicked on, the sound engineer, a veteran named Alain, swore he heard a deep, resonant chord, a single, massive guitar note that did not come from any amp on the stage. The band played their final, unreleased song. KL dedicated it to the listeners who understand the silence, Witnesses say the song was unnervingly beautiful, a sound that tasted like rust and smelled like rain on hot asphalt. But as Hale sang the last verse, his voice cracked, not from strain, but from a sudden, profound sadness. He stopped and simply walked off the stage, leaving his microphone stand clattering to the floor. Solitary Echo was gone by morning. They never played again. Their music vanished from the internet, and Hale was rumored to have moved to a remote province, unable to face a crowd or a microphone ever again. Was this the curse? Was it a song so potent it consumed the singer? Or was it the culmination of exhaustion and the tremendous pressure to make it in the cutthroat Manila music scene? It's hard to tell where the spiritual ends and the sheer psychological breakdown begins. When a person pushes themselves to the absolute edge of their talent and emotion, pouring every ounce of their soul into an art form, sometimes there's nothing left to sustain the person afterward. The art is perfect, but the vessel is shattered. Submit your story to storiesphpodcast@gmail.com if any note or echo from this episode strikes a nerve. Find show notes and support links in the description. The analytical mind, however, looks for patterns in the human experience. Dr. Evelyn Cruz, a well-known cultural observer, once noted that the intense dramatic themes of OPM Emo provided a communal release for the collective trauma inherent in Filipino society. The generational struggle, the political turmoil, the ever-present weight of family expectation. It was a space where sadness was validated. Yet the energy of such a collective outpouring is immense. Think of it like a lightning strike. The energy has to go somewhere. The argument here isn't about the supernatural, but about the immense, unseen power of collective consciousness. When thousands of young people focus all their pain, all their longing, all their sense of abandonment into a single song, that song becomes a powerful, almost religious artifact. If a person with an unstable mind is exposed to this raw energy, already strained by exhaustion and ambition, a collapse is inevitable. The curse, becomes a narrative framework to explain a mental or emotional breakdown. Not all the harm comes from ghosts. Science suggests that emotionally charged lyrics and immersive performances can trigger deep psychological shifts. For young people grappling with heartbreak, depression, and identity, Emo's raw sound either saved lives or, tragically, helped end them. Songs about suicide were not just stories. They became real struggles for thousands. It's a truth that troubles many artists still living today. But those who believe in something more than psychology recall nights when the air seemed thicker, every chord loaded with a weight too heavy for the amps. A rumor persisted. A musician, desperate for a breakthrough, made a bargain, not for money, but for a taste of something larger than life. Success followed, but so did heartbreak and loss. Fans spoke of musicians too wiped out to finish their sets, either falling ill or walking away into the city's darkness, never returning for encores. What is it about these music venues that thicken the shadows? Why does singing a certain chorus sometimes unleash a string of accidents, a sharp drop of temperature, or an inexplicable urge to leave before the last song ends? The Christian faith, so central to Filipino life, views this sort of bargain with extreme caution. The idea of trading one's soul for worldly success is a classic biblical theme, a temptation offered in the desert. From a strictly religious view, the cursed song is not just a song, it's a ritual, an open invitation for a spiritual entity to inhabit the vessel of the artist, giving them an unnatural gift in exchange for their peace. The fact that the song is never recorded, never written down, and vanishes from memory only reinforces its symbolic nature as a true demonic contract, a transaction that exists outside the realm of man-made preservation. It has the weight of an old curse placed by a disgruntled ancestor, or a pact made with a shadowy figure at the edge of the old cemetery near the venue. International folklore shows similar faces. Blues, rock, hip-hop, all genres carry their burdens, their legendary ruined artists, and their rumors of a tune that holds more than notes and lyrics. The persistent legend of 27, the age at which many gifted Western musicians met an untimely end, serves as a constant reminder that the pursuit of a transcendent sound often carries a mortal cost. In the era of OPM Emo, songs like Tula or Sundo became lightning rods for collective pain. The lyrics, re-listened to past midnight, gained a second life among listeners afraid to speak about their own sadness. Many found solace connecting in those gigs, if only for a few hours. Yet others left changed, carrying something home that would not let go for weeks or years. Consider the story of a fan named Dina. She went to a small venue in Malate in 2009. The place was dark, decorated with broken Christmas lights. She recalled the night of the show being perfect, until the final act. She was standing near the front, pressed against the barrier. The singer, Ronel, a quiet, intense man, started a new song. As he hit a high, shattering note, Dina felt a pressure on her chest, a sudden, cold panic. She looked down at her hand, which was gripping the barrier. In the silver reflection of her own wristwatch, she saw something move just behind Ronel's shoulder. A shape that absorbed the light, darker than the shadows. It felt like the very music was being pulled from him, not given. She left the venue immediately, walking for almost 2 hours in the cold night air, the song's melody repeating in her head. A melody she couldn't place, had never heard again, but one that made her eyes sting with inexplicable tears every time it surfaced. For months, she struggled with the feeling of a presence in her apartment, a quiet weight sitting on the edge of her bed. Modern paranormal groups sometimes visit the ruins of old venues, running EVP sessions and temperature checks. Some recordings catch static with hints of stray lyrics, background noises twisting into what sounds like soft humming. Bouncers and bartenders quietly speak of alarms going off with no cause, of doors opening and closing once the crowd thinned, of the feeling that someone else stood just in the blind spot behind the speakers. These groups often find localized cold spots, unexplained drops in temperature that defy the tropical heat. In 2013, a team exploring an abandoned club in Cebu reported finding an old cassette tape, unlabeled, shoved behind a rusted fuse box. When they played the tape, it was just distorted feedback and the distant sound of someone weeping, very faintly, under the noise. There was no clear voice, no clear melody, but the feeling it evoked was overwhelming dread. They eventually destroyed the tape, feeling that its presence was a burden, a spiritual liability. The geographic details of these places matter greatly. The club Dina visited in Malate was rumored to be on the site of an old Spanish-era execution ground, a place where resistance fighters were put to death in the late 1800s. The building itself may have been a storage house for a long-forgotten, wealthy family. This deep, dark history, the lingering trauma of violence and oppression, adds a layer of spiritual volatility. The very ground, according to ancient Filipino belief, remembers what happened on it. When a massive, emotionally charged event like an emo concert is laid on top of that history, the vibrations can awaken whatever rests beneath. The music doesn't just entertain, it acts as a spiritual shovel, digging up the past. Follow us on social media for daily folklore facts, curious legends, and little-known traditions from around the world. Each day, we share bite-sized stories, historical context, and surprising connections that bring myths and oral histories to life. Perfect for lovers of folklore, history enthusiasts, and anyone who enjoys a good story. Our posts include short explanations that make complex cultural practices easy to understand, occasional maps and timelines to show how tales travel, and thematic series that explore recurring motifs across different cultures.
If you want deeper material, become a Patreon supporter to get exclusive content and behind-the-scenes access. Patreon members receive extended articles and deep dive essays that expand on the day's posts, full-length interviews with folklorists, storytellers, and cultural historians, and early access to new podcast episodes and video features. You'll also be invited to monthly live Q&A sessions where you can ask experts your questions, and you'll get downloadable reading lists, source notes, and research guides to follow up on topics that interest you. Supporters enjoy special perks such as exclusive artwork, bonus stories, members-only community chats, and occasional sneak peeks at upcoming projects. Join our community now. Follow us on social media to catch daily updates and instant snippets of folklore from around the globe. Then head to Patreon for richer behind-the-scenes material and a closer look at the traditions and lives that shape our shared cultural imagination. Your support helps us commission research, produce interviews, and keep this growing collection of stories accessible and engaging for everyone. Reflecting on all this leaves one question. Heavy as amplifier feedback in the silence after the last encore. Did the curse song exist? Or is it the echo of collective fear? A myth sown from moments too intense to process alone. When does art heal? And when does it scar? What price do we pay chasing a sound that promises relief from the weight of being young and haunted? Perhaps the curse song isn't a specific set of notes at all. Maybe it's any song played by an artist who has nothing left to give, a melody born from the true exhaustion of the soul. The haunting is not in the tune itself, but in the void left behind when the artist gives away too much of themselves in the pursuit of a perfect, unforgettable sound. Those who sing in the dark find company in shadows. Someone once said, "A haunted heart is still a heart that feels." If you've listened this far, perhaps you see yourself in the story. Perhaps you've met the phantom at the gig, where music and mystery trade places, and the legend plays on. Can a song be so beautiful it breaks the heart of the world?
Find past episodes, complete song list, and exclusive research in the episode description. Everything you need to catch up or explore further is right there. If this podcast brings you value, please show support. Like the episode, subscribe so you never miss an update, follow us on social media for behind-the-scenes content, and share with friends who would enjoy the conversation. Your engagement helps us reach more listeners and keeps the conversation alive. If you're able, please consider supporting the podcast financially. You'll find easy options in the show notes, from one-time donations and monthly pledges to exclusive memberships that unlock bonus episodes, early access, ad-free listening, and members-only deep dives. Your contributions directly fund research, production quality, and the ability to invite more great guests. Even a small monthly gift goes a long way towards sustaining the show and expanding what we can deliver. Love what you hear? Spread the word. Leave a review, recommend us in your networks, and tag us when you share. Each like, follow, and share amplifies our voice and helps build a community around thoughtful conversation and music that moves us. Thank you for listening and for supporting independent audio work. Your time, attention, and generosity matter. They make this podcast possible. The night will end, but the song plays on. Goodbye, and see you in the next episode.